Welcome back to the WNHH FM 2019 Great Give Radiothon. That's right. It's that great time every year when we work with nonprofits all over New Haven to raise money together to make us a stronger, richer, more vibrant community. 406 nonprofits this year are signed up to raise money together, a little friendly competition, hoping for a big pot of over $1.75 million if we can do it.
That's amazing.
So here's what you do. You go to thegreatgive.org. You don't forget the word thegreatgive.org. And this we're meeting all day, today and tomorrow, with people who keep these great organizations going. In this half hour, you're going to hear about one of those organizations, one of the real bulwarks of our cultural scene in New Haven, the Elms Shakespeare organization. So if you're listening to this half hour, please go to thegreatgive.org, look up Elms Shakespeare, and give somebody. We've got Rebecca Goodhart here, the artistic director, and Sarah Bowles, who is the education coordinator. And they're going to tell us all about you. Good afternoon, folks.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us.
It's really great to have you. And I know, Rebecca, we're going to talk later this hour. I think we did this last year, too, about what it's like to take the reins of an organization that one person builds up and keep it going and keeping it relevant and keeping it fresh. And I know you've done that very successfully, and we're all very happy about that in New Haven.
Thank you. Jim gave us big shoes to fill, but I think the organization has really grown. We're doing so much.
Are you 2 years in the job?
No, I'm going into my 4th season this year.
Things go so fast.
Don't they?
I feel like you were just the new kid on the block. Well, Jim was there how long?
20 years.
Yeah, and he kind of built it up from the ground.
Right. He's our founder. He is our source material, but we're really the next chapter is proving to be so exciting. We are at this point working with over 500 kids a year around the calendar. And of course, we keep doing, as we will always, our big gift to the community, which is free outdoor Shakespeare in Edgerton Park.
Yeah, what a beautiful park that is.
Oh, it's such a pretty park. And I'm going to give you a scoop.
Oh, okay.
This is that we have not yet made our 2019 season announcement. So this is the moment that we're officially landing. So we should get a drum roll here.
Okay,
little drum roll.
Get a D7 chord.
Yes. The D7. Ooh, we haven't even had that.
All right.
There you go.
Was that a D minor 7 or a D7? You start out with
D7.
Yeah. Well, you can do a D minor 7 if you want. That might be better, D minor 7. It does sound more Shakespeare. For some reason, D7 sounds more Shakespearean to me. I don't know why that is, than D minor 7. Anyway. All right, so drum roll.
So the big announcement is that we will be doing this year the Comedy of Errors.
Ooh.
So it is a really early, wonderful, wacky, so much fun. We just thought, as the world as difficult as it is right now,
it was time for a little bit of
come to the park and giggle. We hope that giggling next to your neighbors, and a story that ends up in reuniting and people realizing that there's nothing to be afraid of, and
So you have a hidden agenda here, which is that we get along.
Well, it would be
instead of fight with each other. Right?
If art can help us figure it out, to do a little better in the world, wouldn't that be a nice thing?
So that'll be the big production this summer.
That's the big production.
And you're going to be working with your kids all summer to build sets, learn roles, all that kind of stuff, working with the actors.
Yeah. So we have our scholars program, which brings 12 high school students that are really considering this as a career to find out what it's like to work alongside the pros.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a long-standing flagship program. And then we have 5 different camp sessions this year. They keep growing.
I brought up Daughters in New Haven. That was one amazing part of being in New Haven, is that there are all these cool things for the kids to do.
Yeah.
Whether it's Creative Arts Workshop or, Eli Whitney, Elm Shakespeare. So you got 5 programs. You used to have 5.
We didn't used to have any summer camp.
So is this like a big thing you've done?
It's been growing. Yeah, it's been growing and growing.
That's great,
Rebecca. We're thrilled that this year we're in Milford for the first time ever. So we have our summer camps. We have a special teen camp that has the kids. Actually, Sarah, can you say a little bit about what happens at the teen camp? Because it's a whole different thing.
So our teen camp starts July 24th. It's a 3-week program. It's for high school age students. And what they do is they work on scenes and monologues from many different Shakespeare plays. At the beginning, I kind of, myself and my co-teacher, we ask them, what themes are you interested in talking about? and then we kind of pull scenes from different Shakespeare plays.
So you
that have to
don't
do with
start
that.
knowing which
Correct.
plays, which scenes. You must have some kind of general idea of what you might pick from, right?
Sure. I mean, I have a general idea of what scenes are good for young people and are really rich with language and really give them something to sink their teeth into. Because it is an actor training program. It's a 3-week long actor training program. So, but what we do is we kind of weave those scenes and monologues together with some original scenes that the students create themselves.
That's fun.
That actually comment on similar themes that appear in the Shakespeare
And do the
plays.
kids come do a performance at the end of the 3
They
weeks?
do. They
and
do
their
3
family
performances
comes?
at the end.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah.
Do you have a background in theater, Sarah?
I do.
Tell me about
Certainly. I got my BA from Marymount Manhattan College in New York, and I got my master's in applied theater from CUNY, City University of New York.
And what was your hope for? What kind of career? This?
Well, yeah, actually, I've wanted to be an education director for a really long time. So New Haven became my
wonderful.
home.
And you play guitar?
I do play guitar.
Because we do ask people to bring a poem or a song, and it's really the ones who have guts who bring the song.
Yeah,
The poem.
that's true.
Although we do appreciate the poem. We love poetry.
I will say Sarah is being modest. Sarah's an amazing actor in her own right, as well as a director. She and I have been
Thanks.
crossing paths through various theater companies over many years. She's spent time at Shakespeare and Company in Lenox and at American Shakespeare Center. So she's
Still have time to
got
act
a
in a-
incredible yes.
Where do you act now?
Where do I act now? Here.
Oh, okay.
Elm Shakespeare
Oh,
Company.
you're in the productions?
I'm not in it this summer, but I was in it last summer.
All right.
Yeah, we sort of take turns in different roles.
All right. Well, you listen to Great Give Radiothon 2019 at WNHH 103.5 FM live stream, newhavenpit.org. This half hour, we're asking you to go to thegreatgive.org. Don't forget thegreatgive.org. And please consider showing some love in the form of donation to Elm Shakespeare. And now the education director, Sarah Bowles, is going to sing us a song. What are you going to sing for us?
This is a song from my current production of Twelfth Night that I'm
Oh.
doing with a group of teens we call our teen troupe.
And when is that performance?
It's on May 10th and 11th. May 10th, Friday, it's at 7 p.m. and
Where?
at SCSU in the Lyman Center Drama Lab.
Whoa.
7 p.m. on Friday and 3 p.m. and 7 p.m.
And is this a song you
on
wrote for 12th
Saturday.
Night?
Great question. Thanks so much for asking. Shakespeare wrote the words,
Okay.
and actually a former student of mine named Jackson Teely wrote the music.
All right.
Yeah.
Hit it.
Okay. Come away, death, and in sad cypress let me be laid. Fly away, breath, I am slain by a fair cruel maid. My shroud of white stuck all with you, oh, prepare it. My part of death, no one so true did share it. Not a flower sweet, on my black coffin let there be strown. Not a friend grieve my poor corpse where my bones shall be thrown. 1,000 sighs to save sad true lover, never find my grave. 1,000 sighs to save sad true lover, never find my grave, my grave, my grave. To weep there.
Whoa, all right. Sarah Bowles from Elm Shakespeare. Very nice song from 12th Night.
Thank
I
you.
love that.
You
When
can
you-
see why Orsino falls in love with Violet if she sings like that.
You got
Aw.
a wonderful voice.
Thank
Do
you.
you have other instrumentation when you do that? Because I'm hearing bass and
Yes.
drums for that in a big
Yep.
way.
We're gonna have a bass player, and we're gonna have one of the students. They're not kids. One of the students plays flute,
Oh, I can hear
and
that.
I have a couple people shaking egg shakers and a tambourine and a
fun.
drum. So yeah, we're actually using all live music for this 12th night.
And how much of it is music?
It's sometimes called Shakespeare's musical. There's 3 songs written into the script, including that one, and that's Shakespeare's original words. And most people come up with their own melodies for it.
That
so.
sounds wonderful. Now,
yeah.
so you have year-round programming. It's not just summer programming for
Yeah.
teens. Tell me about that.
Well, this is the program that the teen troupe has been growing and growing, and it's a ensemble-based teaching. They come on weekends, and there's one each semester, and they do a full Shakespeare play.
So,
And the students are incredibly talented, and they learn Shakespeare as he was intended in performance by doing it.
very nice. Yeah, because often kids are trying to view the love of Shakespeare in a classroom,
Right.
which can
Yeah,
feel a little
tougher.
Yeah.
shake off the dust on it and stuff, which is not at all the vibe he had in his day.
Right. Which is also why we go into a lot of different schools. We're in Common Ground High School this semester.
What do you do
where,
there?
Sarah's doing a residency, and the kids are doing a production. It's a full long semester.
Fun.
We've also done a residency there on Theater of the Oppressed, where the kids created a Theater of the Oppressed pieces of their own, looking at theater as protest and social change. We work with the Housing Authority of New Haven, sometimes in after school, sometimes in summer. We work with LEAP and do programs
That's
with
great.
LEAP. So we work all over
So what
the
I'm
community.
getting, I think, from this is in the 4 years you've taken Elm Shakespeare and taken it to a new direction, and it, building on what it did before. It's really become so much more of a youth education and
Speaking of
performance.
being modest, that's exactly what Rebecca has done. It's like
Now,
super
how did
expanded
you
the
come to this
education
place?
program.
Like you talked about being in theater companies, crossing paths with Sarah.
Yeah.
Did you? What's your background? Done acting or directing?
Well, many years ago, back when the earth was cooling, I like to say, I was a professional actor. I'm a director and a voice teacher. I founded Maryland Shakespeare Festival and ran that for 14 years, and then
Wow.
I've had the incredible privilege of working around the world. I've worked in Brazil, spent some time in Prague. I'm a company member with Prague Shakespeare, a
Wow.
longtime company member with Shakespeare and Company in Lenox. So creating theater is what I do, but for me, it really is there's the creating of a role, which is a very, very subjective act, right? It's very personal. Then there's the creating of a play as a director, but then there's also creating of an artistic community as an artistic director. And to me, it feels like it's actually a similar process. It's a very creative act. And what an amazing community to be welcomed into
Yeah, and
New
I
Haven.
bet it would take the kind of years you put in the trenches to have the skills to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's
So
a lot
why Shakespeare? Why devote a professional career to Shakespeare? Why work so hard to get young people connected to Shakespeare and keeping it alive in our parks? What is it about Shakespeare?
Okay, you know what? There's a story, and I think most Shakespeare people have this a kind of origin story. I was 13, and I was a smart kid, and I was really not. I was not a terribly popular kid.
Where was this?
In Maryland, but I've always been, big in terms of
Personality.
Use your inside voice. Don't be so dramatic. Calm down. I was always felt that I was a little too much and too passionate for the world. And I was 13, and I picked up the words, and I will never forget the day. I was literally in my bedroom, and I opened up and I read Juliet's words where she says, "My bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite." And it was the first time in my life I wasn't too much. I had to stretch to fill those words. And that started a journey. And there seems to be no end to the joy, the curiosity, the skills. Nothing demands more of me than to create an artistic community around Shakespeare and to bring these plays to life. And hopefully to give that experience to kids where they can find a voice that they can
That is
speak.
a great story. What is it about Shakespeare that lets it endure centuries later and can be made relevant to the 21st century young
Y-
audience?
You know, I've thought a lot about that. If you had asked me that 10 years ago, I would have said it was the language. And I would have said it's embedded in the verse. And I can still make that argument. But having now worked around the world, and what's amazing, you go to Brazil and they say, Shakespeare's ours. Shakespeare's
in Portuguese.
ours.
They do it in Portuguese.
They do it in Portuguese. And same thing
How
in
do you
Germany.
do when you do it when you're translating? This is true for any translator of poetry. How do you keep the essence of it be true to the linguistic character?
Isn't
of it?
that the question?
Yes. How do you do in Portuguese? How do you
Well,
make sure that?
the thing that I know is that while some of the patterning stays the same, the meter isn't. You do lose what that poetic meter is.
And just like with Homer, it's all going to be who translates it then, right?
That's true. That's absolutely true. So my question then becomes, what is it about these plays? I mean, because it's not cultural colonialism, right? I don't believe we do these plays because they're the canon. We do these plays because they speak to us today. Do you know? It doesn't matter if it's me, however many years ago in my bedroom saying my bounty is as boundless as the sea. I know, and Sarah knows, 20 teens that say that's true for me.
Really?
I know that. Absolutely.
Does that happen at Common Ground?
Sure, we're doing Julius Caesar at Common Ground right now, and they chose that play, and I think they chose it because it's a political play. It's about complicated problems, and one of the things that they recently told me is they were like, oh, in this play there's not really a clear villain. There's no bad guy. There's no good guy. It's like they asked me the question like who's the villain here, and I was like, I didn't answer. I was like, who do you think?
Well, that's
so
great.
I think they
that's,
relate to it.
That's the gift for a teacher, right? When you get asked that question, you get to run it back to the person, right? Have them think for
Right.
themselves. Yeah, that's a great lesson for them too, because kids are being brought up in a culture now in a very Manichaean political dialogue. I mean,
Yes.
everyone's the good guy or the bad guy. Hate Donald Trump or love some other politician's going to save the world, and it is a great lesson for them to see shadings of characters and human nature.
Well, and I think you've really hit it. I think one of the things that has why Shakespeare is he writes a delicious ambiguity.
Mm.
We don't know. We don't know really. It could, and it depends on what you say and how you say it. Things can change drastically. So there's space for the speaker's own humanity to shine through, and consequently we all see our humanity. I mean, it's the reason I love how everyone, almost anyone you meet, they'll say, or many people you meet, they say, oh, well, Shakespeare had to be a woman, or Shakespeare had to be Jewish, or Shakespeare had to be Czechoslovakian, or Shakespeare had to be Francis Bacon, or Shakespeare had to be noble. And I think it's because when
True,
people
right,
read the plays,
universality.
they see themselves. They think,
Wow.
that person's speaking for me.
And why is it important for us to see ourselves in great theater? What is that? I mean, you talked about community coming together. You talked about seeing the nuance
Yeah.
in our world and in politics. What is the value? What are you leaving us with every year?
Well, I think there's two things. One is I think there's something to see yourself in these plays, whether it be in comedy or tragedy. In comedy, everybody, it works out. And so we can really ask ourselves the question, who am I? What must I do? What is my role in the larger play, if all the world's a stage?
Ooh,
And
that's
then
good, Rebecca.
the second piece of that is there is a power to sitting next to someone and having a shared experience. So we laugh and we cry and we are hopefully amazed, oh, isn't that pretty? And that we ponder what it means to be a human being next to our neighbors. And that neighbor, then when I see them on the street, I will have shared that experience, and it brings us together as a community.
That's a great way of putting it. Right. Well, it has been such a treat that just flew by meeting
Yeah.
Rebecca Goodhart and Sarah Bowles of Elm Shakespeare. I'm so glad you're keeping that organization strong and thriving and going in new directions. And this summer, as you heard here in the scoop, was a Comedy of Errors is going to be at Edgerton Park this summer. But every day, you folks are doing great work with young people in New Haven. Thanks for doing it.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
really hope people will give this year.
Well,
Thank
let's
you.
remind them, okay, because we heard of all the great things that money goes
Yes.
towards. So you got no excuse, really.
Really.
It
None.
really is thegreatgive.org. You can't forget the. No
Mhm.
excuses. Thegreatgive.org. This half hour, Elm Shakespeare. Time to pony up.
That is.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you
thanks
so
for joining
much.
us. And we're going to take a little break on the 2019 Great Give Radiothon. I'm Paul Bass, going to return with Laura Clark from Site Projects. In the meantime, we're going to hang with the Afro-Semitic Experience performing Sente. He's an on-time God.